you ever seen those film pieces and movies portray the process of capturing criminals using science? But have you wondered how it is done behind the scenes? Join us in this journey to seek answers to pique your curiosity.
So, what exactly is forensics? Basically, it is the application of science to criminal and civil laws, mainly during criminal investigation, as governed by the legal standards of admissible evidence and criminal procedure.
Before getting into more in-depth details, let's see whether the humans in the past used forensics effectively. However, there are some instances in the past where humans used primitive methods of forensics effectively. Let's see one such instance.
The first known case of using modern forensic techniques was during the Song dynasty in 13th century China. A villager was gruesomely hacked to death by using a sickle. The judge who was appointed to solve this case was the famous Song Shi, who authored the book Washing Away of the Wrongs, which details the differences between different causes of death, laid all the sickles of the villagers in the middle of the village and waited. The murderer's sickle attracted the blowflies since it contained invisible remnants of blood and tissue particles from the murder. The Song Shi mentioned here is the first person who used forensics, and since then, the field of forensic science has been and is being constantly developed faster than ever.
Revolutions made by the forensics experts. Today, we have systematic and scientific way to investigate crimes. Let us discuss the first step in that process, which is crime scene process.
Physical evidence collection. To ensure the success of physical evidence collection, following steps are used. Securing the crime scene. This is carried out by police officers to ensure the safety of evidence that may benefit the future investigations and to prevent any attempts at sabotaging the investigation. Recognition of evidence. Collecting everything present in a crime scene is not practical. Therefore, important evidence must be recognized before collecting any. Investigators use two methods to search the crime scene in order to identify necessary evidence. They are grid search, where investigators search the scene in two directions perpendicular to each other. In thorough search, they search the crime scene by breaking it into small zones. Yellow markers are used to mark evidence that is the process of documentation. Documenting the crime scene. If a need arises, investigators should be able to recreate the crime scene. Therefore, crime scenes must be documented properly using photographs, paper documents, scanners, etc. Collection of evidence. In this step, they pay attention to the nature of evidence before collecting. Evidence such as these cannot be collected and therefore should be documented methodically. Some evidences are very delicate and should be handled with much more care than others. Also, they pay attention to the methods that should be used to preserve evidence, as contaminated evidence is useless in the court as proof. This whole process is very important as unsuccessful crime scene processing can jeopardize the whole investigation. Enough details about the crime scene processing. Shall we get into the juicy part?
Application of forensics. Nowadays, forensics is a major component in fighting crime. Let's look into some of these awesome techniques of forensics. DNA. As you may already know, all sexually reproducing organisms have unique patterns of DNA except for blood relatives. Humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes, all containing over 3 billion nucleotide subunits which are repeated. Such a repeat, known as a short tandem repeat, is used to discover evidences. During a crime, a criminal is often seen to be stressed out and scared. As a result, these criminals leave behind traces of their DNA such as semen, blood, hair or saliva, which can be analyzed to determine more information about the suspect. By examining the sex chromosome of a criminal's DNA, the sexuality can be determined, while examination of the P gene can be used to determine the color of the eye and hair. Furthermore, the blood relatives of the criminal can also be identified, which can be linked to the criminal. Now let's move into fingerprint analysis. As a fingerprint of a human is 99.99% unique unless altered by plastic surgery, and as the finger impression of an individual remains unchanged despite aging, it is the best way to identify an individual without an argument. There are three major fingerprint patterns as arches, loops, whorls. The shape, size, number and the arrangement of these minor details of the pattern make each fingerprint unique. Scientists examine these fingerprints from crime scenes, which are known as latent prints or finger marks, to cross-check these with the national database and potential suspect for the investigation. By analyzing and storing these fingerprints, detectives can keep track of criminals and recognize various patterns of crime. Now let's move into entomology. Entomology. Forensic entomology, which is used in murder cases, is the study of arthropods, especially insects associated with crime solving and other aspects of the judicial system. The insect population and developing larval stage, forensic scientists can determine the time of death, whether there has been any changes to the body, using non-growth rates and insect succession data. Sometimes we can determine the place of the death, as some insect may be specific to certain locations. Blowflies, flesh flies, bluebottles are few of the widely used insects in the forensic entomology. Forensic anthropology. Forensic anthropology is the study of human remains in crime investigation. It began since 1940. Bones, muscles, tissues in a crime scene are used to determine information about the time of death, cause of death, age, race, and the sex of the victim. As an example, pelvic bone of the skeleton is used for sex determination, as the female pelvic bone is broader than that of males. Furthermore, they use the condition of teeth and the collarbones to determine the age. In addition, forensic experts use the shape of maxilla bone to determine the races, such as Mongoloid, Caucasoid, Negroid, as their jaw shapes are different.